There's a kind of woman who believes she's wise because the world keeps looking at her. She speaks with confidence, moves like she knows exactly where she's going, and if you aren't paying attention, you might even admire her. But if you look closer, really look, you'll see something else. A trail of broken relationships, missed opportunities, and self-inflicted pain. The truth is harsh. She's not wise. She's just loud, and no one's ever told her the difference. In today's world, being seen is often confused with being valuable. Drama is mistaken for strength. Feelings are treated like facts, and mistakes, they're recycled over and over again, without ever being learned from. That's not empowerment. That's self-destruction in disguise. But here's the twist. You don't have to be this woman to be affected by her. You might be dating her, working with her, or slowly becoming her without realizing it. So this video isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. We're going to explore 6 signs of a foolish woman, not based on IQ or education, but mindset and behavior. Through the lens of Stoic wisdom, we'll uncover how real strength isn't found in attention, but in self-discipline. Not in talking, but in thinking. Not in emotion, but in mastery of it. If you want to rise above the noise and live with depth, power, and purpose, stay with me. Because the only thing more dangerous than ignorance is thinking you're wise when you're not. Let's begin. Sign number 1. She mistakes attention for value. There's a woman named Amanda. Walk into any room and you'll notice her before she says a word. She knows how to light up the space. Dressed to impress, voice just loud enough, laughter perfectly timed. Her Instagram is a curated gallery of compliments. Her life looks flawless through a screen. But here's the Stoic truth. What you see is not what you get. Amanda isn't seeking truth. She's seeking attention. And that's a dangerous game because attention is cheap, it's addictive, and worst of all, it's temporary. The ancient Stoics warned us about this illusion. They knew that external validation is like trying to fill a cracked bowl. It leaks faster than it fills. And the more you chase applause, the less you hear your own soul. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." A woman who confuses being seen with being valuable is building her life on sand. She mistakes likes for legacy. She thinks being followed means being respected. But popularity is not purpose. And the woman who lives for the crowd? She dies by their silence. You see, real value isn't loud. It doesn't need constant confirmation. A woman of true worth can walk into a room and say nothing, yet shift the energy. Not because she's showing up, but because she's showing up as herself. Calm, present, rooted. The Stoic woman doesn't crave attention. She commands it, without ever needing to ask. So ask yourself, do you want to be impressive for a moment, or respected for a lifetime? Because if your self-worth depends on how many eyes are on you, you'll always be chasing, always performing, and never fully at peace. Real value is internal. It's not a spotlight, it's a flame. And if it burns strong enough, the people will find their way to it. Sign number 2. Missing control panel. A woman who lacks self-control doesn't need anyone else to ruin her life. She does it all by herself. She knows she shouldn't blow money on things she doesn't need, but tells herself, "I deserve it." She's fully aware her ex is toxic, but when the emotions hit, she sends that message anyway. She dreams of a better life, better habits, a better future, but when discipline calls, she ghosts it. And the result? A cycle of regret. Maxed out credit cards, sleepless nights over men who never cared, dreams shelved for another day that never comes. Why? Because she gives in to every impulse and calls it freedom. But Stoicism teaches a different truth. Self-control is freedom. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The same applies to women. If your desires rule you, you're not living, you're reacting, you're not choosing, you're chasing. A wise woman doesn't deny her emotions, she understands them. She doesn't ignore her desires, she evaluates them. She pauses before she acts, because she knows pleasure in the moment often comes with pain in the aftermath. Real freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you want. It's the strength to do what's right, even when it's hard. Look at a disciplined woman. She's not cold or rigid. She knows how to enjoy life, how to indulge when it's earned. But she does it on her terms, not at the mercy of emotion. That's the kind of strength that builds empires, within and without. Because here's the truth. Feelings come and go. But the consequences of poor self-control, they stay. They cost you time, peace, and opportunity. If you want a better life, stop letting your emotions drive the car. Take the wheel, redirect, reset. Discipline may feel like a prison at first, but it's the key that unlocks everything worth having. Freedom isn't found in indulgence, it's found in mastery. Sign number 3, talk more than think. There's a certain kind of woman who always has something to say, but very little of it is worth hearing. She dominates every room she enters, not with wisdom, but with volume. She offers advice she doesn't follow, interrupts without thinking, and jumps into every conversation as if her opinion is not just valuable, but essential. She argues not to seek understanding, but to win, to be right, to be heard. But here's the hard truth. Talking a lot doesn't mean you know a lot, and being loud doesn't mean you're wise. Stoicism teaches us that words are not decorations, they're weapons, and in the wrong hands, careless hands, they hurt more than they help. A wise person doesn't speak just to fill silence. They speak when they've listened, when they've thought, when what they say adds clarity, not just noise. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." But if you're always talking, when do you have time to think? A foolish woman measures her intelligence by how much she speaks. A wise woman measures her speech by how much it reflects real understanding. Look around. The women who truly command respect aren't the ones constantly inserting themselves into every discussion. They're the ones who speak sparingly, but powerfully. When they speak, others listen, because their words carry weight. That kind of presence doesn't come from noise. It comes from depth. There's nothing wrong with having opinions. But if you never pause to reflect, never allow room for learning, and never consider the possibility that you might be wrong, you're not having a conversation. You're having a performance. So next time you feel the urge to speak, ask yourself, is this coming from thought or from impulse? Am I adding wisdom to this moment or just heat? Because in the end, people forget most of what you say, but they'll remember whether your words ever meant anything. The Stoic lesson is clear. Speak less, think more, listen with intention. And when you do speak, let it come from understanding, not ego. Sign number 4. She always blames others. There's a woman who walks through life convinced that every misstep, every failure, every broken piece of her world is someone else's fault. She's single. Men are trash. She's broke. The system is rigged. She's unhappy. It's her childhood, her boss, her friends, anyone but her. And the problem isn't that she's unlucky. The problem is that she refuses to look in the mirror. In Stoicism, there is no room for blame, only responsibility. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Stoic doesn't waste time pointing fingers. He or she asks, "What did I choose that brought me here? What can I do to change it?" Because here's the truth. Your life is the sum of your decisions. And the moment you deny that, you give away your power to change it. A woman who blames everyone else is stuck. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She can't grow. Because in her mind she's not the problem, and if she's not the problem, there's nothing to fix. That's why she stays stuck in the same job, the same toxic patterns, the same complaints she's had for the last 10 years. She doesn't need advice, she needs accountability. But accountability is uncomfortable. It requires humility. It means admitting, I played a part in this. A wise woman does exactly that. Not because she likes being wrong, but because she values growth more than pride. She owns her mistakes, she studies her failures, and because of that, she evolves. The foolish woman resents her circumstances. The wise woman reshapes them. So ask yourself honestly, when something goes wrong, what's your first instinct? Do you search for the lesson or the scapegoat? Stoicism teaches us that the world is unpredictable, but our response is not. That's where our power lies. Not in controlling everything, but in owning everything that's ours to own. Blame is easy. Growth is hard. But only one of them leads you somewhere worth going. And until a woman stops blaming the world for her problems, she will always be at its mercy. Sign number 5. She chooses the wrong friends. In the quiet corridors of life, we are never truly alone. We walk beside others. And who walks with us shapes us. A foolish woman surrounds herself with the kind of people who keep her comfortable, but never accountable. Her circle is filled with gossipers, complainers, drama seekers, and enablers. Not because she doesn't know better, but because she doesn't want to be challenged. Their shallow approval feels safe. Their mediocrity makes her feel superior, and their silence ensures she never has to face the truth about herself. But here's what she doesn't see. Comfort can be a trap. Being surrounded by people who never question you, never push you, never force you to rise isn't friendship. It's stagnation. And over time, it becomes a prison built from flattery and fear. The Stoics had a warning for this. Tell me who your friends are, they'd say, and I'll tell you who you are. Because your circle is a mirror. It reflects your values, your habits, your standards. If everyone around you is small-minded, lazy, and emotionally chaotic, then eventually, so are you. A wise woman knows this. She doesn't look for friends who tell her what she wants to hear. She seeks those who challenge her thinking, elevate her mindset, and call her out when she strays from her path. She understands that iron sharpens iron, that growth is forged in honest conversations, not empty affirmations. Think about it. If your 5 closest friends spend every weekend complaining, spending recklessly, chasing attention, or blaming the world, what are the odds that you're not doing the same? Your tribe becomes your template. Your environment becomes your future. So ask yourself, do your friends reflect your highest potential, or just your current comfort zone? Are they pushing you to become more, or silently holding you back? Because the people you choose to keep close will either water your growth or choke your roots. Choose wisely. Sign number 6. She never learns from her mistakes. There's one thing more dangerous than making a mistake: refusing to learn from it. A foolish woman doesn't just stumble once or twice. She stumbles, falls, gets up, and runs straight back into the same fire, over and over again. Different man, same heartbreak. Different job, same complaints. Different year, same broken promises to herself. And when life smacks her down, what does she say? I just have bad luck. Why does this always happen to me? But the Stoics would say, it's not fate, it's failure to reflect. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, your mistakes are not roadblocks, they're signposts, but only if you're wise enough to stop and read them. The foolish woman doesn't pause. She doesn't ask, what did I do to contribute to this? She avoids the hard truth because it's easier to blame than to face the mirror. And so, the cycle repeats. But a wise woman, she treats every failure like a classroom. She doesn't fear falling. She fears falling and learning nothing. She dissects her pain. She takes notes from disappointment. She turns regret into fuel. That's what real growth looks like, not perfection, but progress. Ask yourself this. Have you ever found yourself in the same painful place you swore you'd never return to? Did you slow down to understand why? If you didn't, what's stopping you? In Stoicism, we are taught to live with awareness, to examine our choices, to notice the patterns in our suffering and ask, what am I doing that keeps bringing me here? The truth is harsh but freeing. If you don't learn from your past, you are doomed to repeat it, over and over, until life no longer offers you chances to grow. only consequences. So don't run from your mistakes. Sit with them. Learn their lessons. Because nothing wastes a life faster than ignoring the wisdom your pain is trying to teach you. As Seneca once wrote, "While we teach, we learn. But only if we're willing to listen, especially to our own failures." This video isn't here to shame women. It's here to shine a light. Because sometimes what destroys a person's life isn't evil or misfortune. It's unconscious choices, repeated day after day. Habits of the mind, emotional reflexes, the refusal to pause, reflect, and ask, is this helping me or hurting me? In modern society, especially in a culture obsessed with validation, comparison, and instant gratification, it's easy to confuse attention for worth, comfort for happiness, freedom for indulgence. But as Stoicism teaches, true wisdom isn't loud, and it doesn't chase approval. It's quiet, deliberate, and fiercely self-aware. We see it everywhere. Women who overspend chasing trends, who cling to toxic partners out of loneliness, who surround themselves with gossip and chaos because stillness feels unfamiliar. None of this makes someone a bad person, but it makes life harder than it needs to be. And that's the heart of this message. Life is already hard. Don't let your own mind make it harder. This video is a mirror, a chance to pause and ask yourself, am I living reactively or intentionally? Am I blaming others or holding myself accountable? Because the truth is, wisdom is not a talent, it's a habit. It's built in the tiny daily decisions. Saying no to what drains you, even if it's comfortable. Choosing solitude over drama. Listening more than you speak. Taking responsibility even when it's painful. As someone who's seen women around me, friends, sisters, co-workers, repeat destructive cycles simply because they didn't know a better way, I know how hard it is to break free. But it's possible, and it starts by owning your life fully. The Stoics taught, no man is free who is not master of himself. The same applies to all of us. So don't just watch this video and nod along. Use it, reflect, adjust, grow. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be awake. Because the cost of unconscious living is a lifetime of regret. You want freedom? Start with self-mastery. You want respect? Start by respecting yourself. You want peace? Then stop feeding chaos. And remember, wisdom is always a choice. One you make or one you ignore. Which one will it be today? If this message resonates with you, don't stop here. Subscribe for more great messages and share with someone who needs a reminder. And remember, wisdom is a choice. Make it a daily practice.